it took some doing and soaking. But yeah, that finally came out. Boy, it was in there. So now I just got to work on getting that out. But yeah, and it looks like that's a newer one. I don't think that's a 3-piece one. I think that's a single-piece one. Which is good. I mean, that's an upgraded one. So I don't see how that would necessarily come apart. Maybe I'm wrong, but it looks to be one piece, but I don't know. So, and I think because it only has one of these, I think the 3-piece has another one somewhere else. So we're good to go. Yeah, I had to reinforce my vice grip with some bigger washers, as you can see, because it was just tearing through down there. So all is good. All right, 2 for 2. So what I ended up using was a small channel lock on that to get that off, and then just twisted up, and it took some might to get that out too. But I also wanted to show you this. See if I can focus in. That rubber part is broken. I don't know if that gasket, now I don't know if that happened while I was taking this out or what, but yep. But we're moving right along now. So I did want to show this. I just put this in this morning. Hang on. This is the heat shield for the oil cooler separator. So this is going to sit in the evaporust, but I wanted just to show you kind of a before, and then we'll see the after in a day or two once that comes out. But I did get that back on. So that's it in the evaporust, and if you remember how bad and rusty and nasty that looked, but looks much nicer now. So that part's done too. Oh, and I also let you know, I'm going to see how this works. So these are tubes for like roses. And I've used these before, actually. I've got some honeysuckle in the backyard. So what I've done is I take this, I fill this with Roundup or whatever killer I want, and then cut the honeysuckle off, and then put this over the top of what I just cut off so it can drink up all the poison. And it's kept it coming back where I've done that. Now it's come back in other places, but wherever I've done that, that's helped stop it. So the plan is get the salt and vinegar and stick each one of those wires into one of those tubes, because they're smaller and I can maneuver them. So that is going to be the plan. All right, so we took one of these, filled it with the little salt and vinegar, and now we're soaking that in that solution. So I think that's going to work. So I just have to do that 4 times. But yeah, I think that'll work. All right. Grounds are all cleaned up down in there. So that worked okay. It was tough, even with these. It was tough. I bought so many because I'm going to use them back out in the yard too to kill some weeds and things like that. But it did work. So I don't know if that's going to work for those down in there. That one might be a little tougher to do. So, and I cleaned these while I was at it as well. So those are cleaned up. Alright, so we're getting ready to paint this. As you can see, all that rust is gone. So we'll get this painted, and that'll be one of the projects for today. And I think I'm going to try to clean the block too today. Alright, so I've cleaned the block with the razor blade. It's pretty good and pretty smooth. There are just some of these spots. I mean, it's smooth, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put some gasket remover on there and let it sit, and then just scrape it real gently one more time to try to get anything residual left off of that. So, you know, as I was going around, I was scraping and I was vacuuming as I went around to try to avoid stuff getting down in there. But I'm going to vacuum all that stuff out. I'm going to vacuum all that stuff out anyway. And I'll show you my thought on how to get down there, but you got to stand by. Alright, so second coat is on that. It's going to look much nicer than that rusty piece that was on there. So we'll just let that dry. I mean, it's absolutely gorgeous out. It's like 70 degrees, like 50% humidity out here. I mean, and it's the middle of August almost. It's unbelievable how nice this weather is. So I figured I'd get out tonight and do some of this stuff. So, yep, got the block cleaned off. I put some of that gasket remover on there just to see if I could soak and get some of that other stuff off. It's pretty smooth. I mean, I'm pretty happy with the way it is, but I mean, it's okay. I'm gonna just do what I can to get everything off as best I can, and then we'll go from there. See what's next. All right, so put the gasket remover on. I mean, it's all smooth. It's kind of like the head. It's like it's stained, but it's smooth. There's nothing there. I got one little kind of nick in it though, you know, almost like a pitting, just like the head had, but it's really smooth. So success for tonight. This is all painted nicely. So I hope it was good enough. I used the engine enamel, the 550 degree on there. I figure that's going to be good enough. I mean, it is right over the headers, but I'm hoping that that'll be enough. I didn't think I needed to use the 2300 temperature. So that's all out. That's still soaking. That's just in some evapor rust, just the bottom, just the nut part of it, just so I can get rid of some of that rust. And then those are the bolts for the oil cooler housing. So yeah. So I think what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to go ahead and buy an ultrasonic cleaning machine. And I think I might stick that in and see if I can get rid of some of that sludge on there with that. That's what everyone's kind of saying to do with that. It's not real bad. There's just some sludge in it. So, but yeah, that's all nasty. It just needs to be cleaned up a little bit, but I think we'll be good to go. So it's a beautiful night out, but we are done for tonight. All right, so here we are after 24 hours of soaking. That side's pretty clean. So it's getting there. It's obviously the inside part of it. But it's getting better. I think what we'll do is we'll let it go for another day. And we'll see where we are after that. hopefully hopefully the rest of it will clean up. Let's see how this did. That did pretty good. The rust is cleaned off of there. So take those out and wipe those off. Alright, so let's take a look. Well, that's after 48 hours of sitting in there. I think you try to scrape that a little bit, but might leave it in there even another day. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to go ahead and just use a wire brush on this and get this cleaned up a little bit more. It's been sitting in there a while and it's just really not coming off like I'd like it to. It got a lot of it off and it's done pretty well. So I think we're pretty good with that, but I just want to get the rest of this rust off. So I think what I'll do is I'll just use some wheels on it, things like that. And I think I'll clean up the housing too, the new. So this was, you can see, that's the 5R housing. So I now have a 6R housing that I am going to use with this. And I ordered a new pressure sending unit as well. I mean, this I think was probably the original one that was in there. Once again, I'm doing this work. I'm not getting a new one of those. That was like $300 or something for one of those, but this was like $50. I got the FAE one, so I'll replace that as well and just finish getting this stuff cleaned up. Okay, so here is the before. And I'm just going to use a little wire brush. I think what I'm going to do is I'll probably paint this black. I'll just use some of that engine paint. Just paint that black. I don't know. We'll see how it comes out. So there we are with, I don't know, just a couple of minutes with the wheel. I'll have to get in there, but as you can see, it's pitted pretty bad. So that's not going to polish up real well. So I think I am just going to go ahead and just paint it. I'll get the rest of the rust off with my Dremel and some wheels and get into those little nooks and crannies that can't get into. But yeah, it's so rusty and it's just so pitted from the rust that that's not going to polish up at all. So I'll do that, and then I'll work on getting this polished up, and then we can start working on some other things. All right, so there we go. Rust is gone, and I'm going to paint it. So next I'll start working on cleaning this up. So let's get like a little before shot. I mean, it's pretty clean as is, but we'll just work on cleaning that up a little bit. And we'll do that. All right, well, here we go, cleaned up. Not necessarily worried about polishing it like I have that polished. This is going to be down and mostly hidden anyway. But definitely cleaner. So the only thing is, I noticed that you have that's open. On mine that I took off, got a nut in there, and it's not even a nut. It's pretty rusty and nasty, but it looks like it's maybe a hex bolt or something. I don't know. I'm soaking it to see if I can find it, but it's not open like this. It's solid. So I'm trying to figure out why this has an open nut. I don't know if there was something that needs to come off of this. Maybe this is off of a turbo. I don't know. That's the reason why there's an extra thing that comes off of this and goes somewhere. I mean, it doesn't on my car because my car doesn't have it. So, just kind of curious. So if anybody knows, I put it out on one of the Facebook groups. Hopefully someone can answer as to why that is. Okay, so we got that bolt out. So on the group, I was told that probably what it was is someone had tapped it actually to put a manual pressure gauge on there, is what I was told probably happened. So I was able to get that out, and then I got the one out of my old one, and it fits in the new one. So I'm good to go. So there's the difference. There's how dirty and nasty the old one is, and the 5R and the 6R that's going to go in. Probably hasn't been that clean since the day it was put in. So we're good to go. Alright, so we're going to try to paint it black. We're just going to use engine enamel 550 degree. So there's the before. Alright, second coat on that. Looks a little better. Still, you can see where it was pitted and everything. So it's not going to look great, but it'll look better. Alright, so that is back together. I guess I could have painted the nuts, but it doesn't really matter. I just wanted this to look a little better. So, still got to get this cleaned up. I didn't have any time to work. Was at a tournament this weekend, so we'll work on getting that cleaned up and looking a little nicer before we put the oil cooler back on. So I was thinking a little bit more, you know, this was really kind of oily and everything, and I thought that there was a leak, and I was hoping it wasn't from the balance shaft, and I remember thinking maybe it was from the oil cooler, but just didn't know. And then as I was doing the videos, I remembered that was broken, and that is sitting at the bottom of it, and I'm wondering if a little bit of oil was coming out of here, and that's why it was all oily down there. So yeah, that's my thought, and I am going to go ahead and paint those bolts. That's going to annoy me if I don't do that, so I'll paint those just real quick. And that's it for this week. Next week, maybe I'll film a little bit of the traveling chiller shop. So my dad's van needs new shocks, so I'm going over to his place, and I'm going to put new shocks on his van. So maybe I'll film that and just throw that in here, but we'll see. I don't know. And hopefully have some time to work on this. Basically get that cleaned up and then start putting stuff back on. That's really kind of where I am. I got all my oil sitting down there. I'm waiting to finish some milk jugs. I don't have enough to dump the oil into yet. So, but that's it for this week, and we'll see you soon.